So I wanted to do this video at random today. It's obviously going to be a YouTube video, which is very rare anymore. But I had actually spoken up about this when Robin Williams committed suicide. And recently, well, it's been a few weeks now, there was a story of, I believe he was a 12-year-old boy, 12 or 14-year-old boy who had taken his life. And also, more recently, a story that I saw today of a 16-year-old girl who had posted a status on Facebook and then had taken her life just a few days before Christmas. The reasoning for the two that I just mentioned was due to bullying. And I can say from experience that I understand where they're coming from. If it weren't for the fact that the Lord obviously had a hand on me, keeping me here, and obviously my family as well, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you today as with the bullying that I had to deal with in school and also outside of school. Made it very hard, and I had contemplated suicide many times. With family issues, had come close to many times to committing suicide, plotting how I was going to do it, thinking what the suicide note would say, if there would be a suicide note, and just going through the whole process of just how I wanted it to be, if I wanted to suffer, if I wanted it to be quick, did I want to be alone when it happened and everything, did I want to do it maybe with somebody, in the house, or somebody even just outside and everything, just the whole thought process that comes, with that. And even to this day, and it's been a while, excuse me, but even to this day, there are times that I still struggle, with the thought of suicide. And most recently, myself and some members of my family have actually made the statement that we can understand why people commit suicide due to the fact of our financial stresses, lack of finance, the means and everything, lack of money and everything to be able to pay, bills and to get the necessary things that we need. Poor health is also playing a part, not only just of each individual person dealing with their own health issue, but having to watch others, deal with theirs as well. It is very hard. We recently lost a friend of ours here a few weeks ago, and that was very hard. The news is very hard to take. We had figured that it may possibly be something that could happen, but you can never completely prepare yourself for something like that. It just hits you so hard, and then the thought is, that, well, I wish I could be with them. I wish I could be at peace, and not so much so a thought of suicide, but just the thought of being at peace and everything in a place that takes you away from the things that you're dealing with. So it's very hard. Suicide in this day and age is becoming more and more of a reality. It's more and more of an issue, especially for young people. But it's not only for young people. I mean, even with the bullying and that, and like I said, especially. But you have to realize, too, that in a day and age where finances and everything, people are so financially strapped, and just issues that are so hard to deal with, are taking place, that it also puts somebody, in like a middle age or, sometimes even an older position to consider what it would be like if they were taken out of the whole equation that was surrounding them. And that's the way that I look at it. Whenever I've considered it, I look and I say, well, about taking myself out of the equation, taking myself out of this particular situation so that I don't have to face it anymore. And so many people will say that if somebody commits suicide, that it's cowardice. Now, I can see, maybe if you're running away from a problem and you figure that, well, you know, I killed so and so, so I'm going to go ahead and kill myself. That way I don't have to, you know, be locked in prison. I don't have to face the family and everything of the person I killed in that. In that instance, maybe you could call that cowardice. But if somebody is struggling, you know, with an issue, if somebody is, you know, clinically depressed, somebody is bipolar, I have an anxiety issue and I also suffer from depression. But I suffer also from anxiety disorder and with other mental things and just, you know, issues and stuff that I deal with. And it's hard. And for somebody, you know, in that position, it makes it harder. And sometimes thinking isn't always as clear as it may be for somebody else. And people think, you know, you should snap out of it. You know, it's something that you can just snap out of, or that, well, you're taking medication, doesn't that mean anything? But it's not like that. It's not like you're just going to wake up one morning and stretch and just feel brand new. And I'm not saying that that can't happen, that gradually over time that you won't feel better, because obviously taking the medication, you know, and seeking whatever help that you feel comfortable seeking will help you and everything. It can help you. There's no doubt in my mind about that. But it doesn't mean that you're just going to automatically snap out of it. It doesn't work that way. And it makes it even harder on the person when people say that. People don't stop to think of how bad their words hurt, saying that it's all in somebody's head. Well, that's really not fair. I mean, if you've never been in that position before, then you don't understand. I was mentally and physically, you know, hurt as a child, and usually for somebody in my position and everything, we suffer a little bit more. The suffering continued, you know, as I got older. And even to this day, I deal with things, deal with family issues, I deal with, you know, issues where I live, and situations and stuff and everything, and just things that haunt me and things that bother me. I'm a very worrisome person, so I worry about everything. I'm a very, you know, I'm the kind of person that I'm very sensitive, where I take things to heart, where they may not be so serious, so meant to, you know, personally attack, so to speak, and everything, but they mean something more to me. I worry about people that I've never even met and everything. I worry about them, and they mean an awful lot to me. And where somebody may just say, oh, it's just another person, to me it's not just another person, it's somebody that matters. But, you know, not to get off topic and everything or whatever, but I just wanted to say, you know, that if you are dealing with suicidal thoughts and such, everything, there are options. There's always a way out, and taking your life is not the way. There's always somebody that you can call if you don't have a friend or a family member. There are hotlines out there that you can reach out to. Your family physician, you can go to a hospital, you can keep it discreet. You don't have to put it out there so that everybody has it. You know, it doesn't have to be broadcasted that you've thought about suicide. It's not something like that. You can discreetly talk to somebody and they will keep the confidence and everything, because if you go to a physician or somebody, that's their job. If they break that, you know, obviously then they can be held accountable for their actions, because once you get in there behind that door and you're talking to them, whatever is said, you know, that's between you, unless you would allow them to share that information with somebody else, or if you've signed a paper to share that information with somebody else. So never feel like there's no way out. I know there's been so many times that I felt like there was no way out. Even in situations going on now, I feel like there's no way out. And it's heartbreaking, and it's hard when nobody seems to understand. And now it seems to me that ones, you know, the close family, the ones that really matter to me, are slowly starting to understand where I'm coming from, and I don't like that. Usually you would say, you know, you wish that one person could just understand where you're coming from, but when it comes down to it, you look at that and you say, well, really, I don't want them to hurt the way that I'm hurting. I don't want them to be able to understand it from my perspective, because if they can, that means that they're hurting as bad as I am, or maybe even at a level worse than me, and I would never wish that upon anybody. I'm not feeling very good right now. You know, I feel like I'm trying to get a headache and that. I'm tired every day. You know, I'm always tired. My body's wore out and everything. I'm always tired, and I'm just really having a hard time right now. I need to get out and exercise, but I don't do well with the cold weather. And of course I could work out inside and stuff, but I have other issues, you know, that's making it hard and everything. It's like I'm trying to push against a wall and trying to break through that wall, and I just haven't broken through yet. And for putting on, you know, close to 20 pounds, or about 20 pounds and everything, you know, that's hard. You know, that's a very hard struggle. And if any of that is coming from taking my medication, it puts me in a position where I need my medication. So it's like, where do I go with that? but I just feel with the way that I feel like my body's attacking itself, so it puts me in a place where I feel like I really have to push twice as hard then to get anywhere, and that's when it's hard. It's so much easier to just say, oh, I've been defeated, and you hang your head and you just say I give up and you wave that white flag, rather than turn around and pushing through it and breaking through and making a new breakthrough, setting goals and actually going for something. It's so much easier just to lay down and just say I'm done, because you don't want to fight and everything, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. I don't feel like I have the strength to fight. I don't feel like I have the feeling, I just don't feel it, and I try to stay true to my faith and everything where the Lord, my Savior Jesus Christ is concerned, and I'm still, still suffering. I'm struggling with that. I mean, I have faith, but it's evidently, I just don't feel like it's enough. Even with a most recent blessing that the Lord has blessed us with, there's still been so much heartache that it's awful hard, and you would think that the blessing would trump the heartache and everything, but the heartache is so strong that it kind of makes it hard, to kind of deal with that. And so I just, in closing, I just felt like I needed to talk. I open myself up and everything very easily. I'm very raw. Sometimes I don't, but sometimes I do. And when it comes to something like this, it's something that I feel I need to talk about. And it's hard when you hear of young people, and really anybody, doing this. It's just committing suicide, taking their life like that, or even just dying young from anything. It's hard to hear anybody, just dying in general, just at any age. But when you hear somebody that's 12 or 14 or 16, whatever, that hasn't really had the opportunity to experience life, that's when that's the worst, because you just think of all the things that they're not going to get to do. You think of the family that they've left behind and how they have to pick the pieces up, and they have to say, well, now my daughter, I'm never going to see her get married, or my son, I'm never going to get to see him go out and make something of himself, and that's very hard. You always wonder what could have been. And it's hard too, I think, in the way, and I know my videos are always long, but I think it's hard too because you look in the way that, well, you see this one out in the street and that one out in the street and say, hey, you're the kid that picked on my son or daughter and everything. You're part of the reason why they committed suicide. And it's so hard, to try to deal with that as well, because you want to get revenge and everything. You want to take and you want to just take it out on everybody, on anything, because you're just so angry. And that's not the way to do it. It's not the way, obviously, to handle it. But obviously, that would be the first, I think, instinct for anybody, would be to seek out these people that caused your child to commit suicide and say, hey, you should be held accountable for this. But it's so hard in this day and age because bullying, and obviously, I think being cyber, being on Facebook and on Twitter and stuff, even with Instagram and that, I'm sure I don't quite understand that as well, but I think it's just hard because people can attack you so much easier there. It's like it's not just within the walls of the school anymore and everything. It's not just out on the playground or whatever, it's not confined to that particular area. It's now opened up to these other places. It's opened up to people getting your cell phone number and harassing you over the phone and sending pictures, sending threats and everything and stuff. And I mean, you can turn it into the authorities. But a lot of times, and I don't know for, wherever you're at watching this, if anybody watches this, but a lot of times, and I know there's different instances here that have happened, different things that have happened where they've said, unless somebody gets hurt, there's nothing we can do. Well, my response to that is always, well, if somebody dies, it's too late. It's too late, because then if you do something, where's the justice in that? It's not going to bring them back. And when you shouldn't have to wait and everything until there's a chalk line drawn out somewhere before you do something. And that's what I think is so hard with the way that people operate. And it's not how I would handle things. And maybe obviously I can be very irrational on things. I jump too quickly on things and whatnot. And I speak up a little too loudly on things. But I don't think that it should require somebody dying before something gets done. And it's the same thing with the bullying. Bullying needs to be dealt with before any more children take and commit suicide. It's just necessary. People need to be evaluated and everything more. These kids that bring guns into school and kill other children and then kill themselves, they need to be evaluated. If anybody suspects anything, it should be turned in. If anybody gives any hints that they're going to do anything, even if they just jokingly say something or just point at you and everything to make it look like they're pointing, like they're going to shoot you or something, that's not something, that... It's not something that I would let slide and everything, because you just can't be sure anymore. People that you've been friends with for years can turn so easily, and it just doesn't take that much, you know, to do that. And it's just, that's the society, that's what we have to face, you know, that's the way that it is. And so I really encourage, I encourage people to just, before you bully somebody, put yourself in the person's shoes that you're going to bully and really think about it, because a lot of people didn't realize, I don't think, what I went home to after school. You know, there's so much, and I won't get into it on here, but there's so much and everything that I had to deal with, and then I had to go, you know, to school obviously the next day, and people didn't realize when I went through, you know, they picked on me for my weight, for my looks, for this, for that, whatever, and everything, but they didn't realize, you know, just what I actually was dealing with. And I think that if they could have seen it from that perspective, maybe they wouldn't have picked at all, or maybe as bad, if they could have realized everything that I had troubles and everything. You know, I had things I was dealing with that were out of my control, and it was just things that I had to face and go through, and it was a struggle. And you know, it eventually came down to where I wound up getting homeschooled. But I really hope that people will see that there are other options out there, and I just don't want to hear any more of these stories. And I know there's something that it happens every day, and it's just really heartbreaking. And I don't know. I think a lot of it really starts in the home. It really starts in the home. It starts with the way that you're raised, everything. You see your parents doing stuff, you hear your parents saying stuff and everything, and that just blows things apart and everything. That really opens the doors for things and thoughts and stuff, and it just really starts at home. And I just think the more parents need to pay attention to their children. And so yeah, I'm going to conclude it at that. But like I said, I just felt that I needed to talk about it, and it's real, and we need to face it. And until we really start to face it, we're not going to get any results. We're not going to get anywhere until we really take it seriously. So I just want to say I thank you guys for watching. I love you guys, and take care, and God bless. Mwah, foof. Yeah, mwah, foof. And have a happy new year. Be safe. Get a designated driver. Don't drive, even if you're just a little tipsy and everything. Just a little buzz, you know, is driving drunk. Just a little buzzed and everything could be enough to kill yourself or somebody else. Please be safe out there and have a good time, and have a new year that you can remember. That's, to me, the main thing. Don't get so drunk that you can't remember what happened and everything. You want to remember it. You want to have a good time, and let's welcome it in safely. I love you. Bye.